Welcome to Music She Missed, the podcast where I do my best to get my best friend caught up in some of the most popular songs and artists that impact our lives. I'm Allison.
And I'm Rachel, and I missed all the music.
Yep. Rachel, I know about you that you have lived in Europe.
Yes, I have. I've lived in Asia. I've lived in America. I've lived in the Middle East.
Let's focus on Europe.
Okay.
My super tangentially related question for you today.
Oh, I've lived in Africa too, but go ahead.
You missed South America. It's time for you to move.
Yeah.
So, focusing on Europe, who is your favorite monarch?
Oh, yes. I do know.
Your favorite monarch?
He was my celebrity crush.
What? Okay.
Like, I really like Prince William and the British monarch, but I also really do like the Norwegian monarch as well.
Tell me about the Norwegian monarchy. I'm afraid I don't know very much about them.
So whenever I would visit my grandparents in Norway, they would have this formal dining room that we weren't allowed to play in, but we tend to go in when we weren't supposed to. And they had these plates of the Norwegian monarch, of the king and the queen on these plates. And I would always like look at them as a small child, and I was just like, who are those people? And, you know, they lived in Oslo, and then my brother named their dog Oslo. And but yeah, they were just distant people. But they're really actually really smart people. And so my grandmother would tell me a few things about the king and the queen and how much he loved his people.
So it kind of brings up for you like your family.
Yeah.
Your family history.
Because my mom's side is Norwegian.
Right, I am aware. That's very interesting.
Wait, so what are we doing this week? Wait, what is your favorite monarch?
I don't have a favorite monarch.
Well, I was just curious.
Except unless you're talking about this week's artist.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Well, then let's do the drum roll.
Let's do it.
And find out. Here we go. It's B.B. King.
Oh!
Get it?
I get it! Okay, so I was in Memphis.
Oh, okay.
And we were walking down that strip area, whatever. Yeah. And
the place with all the music.
Yes. Yeah. And so we're going by B.B. King's place.
The bar, the
yes.
club, yeah.
He was playing inside.
Uh-huh.
And so we were going around with a group of friends. And I was like, hey, let's go in. Let's go in.
Okay.
Duh. The group leader or whatever of our group's like, no, we should go back. We need to make sure we get back in time.
And you are certain that it is B.B. King?
Yes. And I have other people that were with me that were upset.
I would be upset too.
So our friend, my husband's roommate was with us in that group.
Right.
And so he was livid because then our group leader wanted to go to like Walmart or Target or some kind of like big box crappy
and you're
place.
Like one of the most famous guitarists of all time
and
is playing right here and we're not there.
And so my husband's former roommate was like so angry. He like bought this like album. I think it was an Elton John best of.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but I think he bought me a copy of the best of
Elton John.
But I think it's...
What's that have to do with B.B. King?
It doesn't, but it's still in the plastic wrap.
Right.
Because I just never opened it.
Well, that's not surprising.
But I'm looking forward to hearing about B.B. King this week.
Well, that's so funny because I have actually seen B.B. King.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he played in Fort Worth. Maybe, now, probably almost 10 years ago when I went. But
yeah, this was about 10 years ago.
Yeah. But we got to hear him perform and dance.
Oh, cool.
And everything. So,
did you swing dance to B.B. King?
No, I blues dance.
Ah, very nice.
Because he's not really swing.
No, he's not. He's more blues, and he's got a great trumpet. No, he doesn't have a trumpet. No, that's that Armstrong. No, he went on the moon.
So...
No, Neil Armstrong went on the moon.
And Louis Armstrong plays the trumpet. And B.B. King
has a guitar.
Is the blues artist that plays guitar that we're going to be listening to this week. So, you actually already know that B.B. King is a guy that plays guitar, that has a bluesy sound. So that's pretty
a little
impressive.
bit more.
Do you think you could name any songs?
Yeah, no. Why don't you tell me a couple and I'll see if I can recognize any of them.
So a lot of them are kind of like covers of kind of standard blues songs. So it's not like if I say a song that he's the only one that did it, for example. Let's do Every Day I Have the Blues.
Nope, pass.
All right. Ain't Nobody Home.
No, pass.
Sweet Little Angel.
Nope, pass.
Okay, most famous one that I can think of. The Thrill Is Gone.
Sorry.
That's all right. I wasn't expecting any of those stuff.
But I went by his blues kind of little...
But you heard a couple of licks.
Well, yeah, we were outside on the street and we were like, we can get in, we can get in.
That's so cool.
It was very cool.
So...
Not cool enough.
Not cool. Yeah, the story does kind of go,
it just goes, wah, wah, wah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your current knowledge of B.B. King?
I would say a 5. No, 4. Let's do 4.
I think that's fine, considering that you already knew a little bit about him. That's totally acceptable score. So you've got some homework this week, though.
I do. 1 hour of listening to the Spotify playlist that you have created for me.
That's right.
Every day.
Filled with Every Day You'll Have the Blues.
Yeah.
This week. And
regret for not going in.
No, I hope you don't have regret. I hope instead that you have appreciation.
Yeah. Well, not regret going into that blues
I get it.
place.
I get it.
Yeah.
So, Rachel, I'll see you in a week, but audience will be back with you in just a moment.
Here we go.
Welcome back. Rachel, you spent the last week listening to B.B. King.
The king.
Of blues.
Of blues.
There's many kings, right? There's the king of pop.
Yeah.
There's the king like Elvis, like king of rock and roll. So he's the king of blues, though.
Oh.
So it's a convenient last name he has.
He does. So let's go into that first question. Is that his legal name?
Kind of. So King is his last name.
Oh, okay, that helps.
But his first name is not BB. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we get into his history. But before we jump in, I do want to know just your overall impression of the week.
It was mixed emotions.
Okay. Did you get the blues?
No, of enjoyment, because I really liked him.
Okay.
But also anger.
Why? Why?
I wasn't so bluesy, like, oh, I'm so down in the dumps or whatever, but I'm more angry that now that I had a chance to actually hear him live at his Memphis, Tennessee kind of blues club.
At his venue, yeah.
Yeah, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so angry at that individual who was with us. And so, yeah, that person knows who he is. So if
Shame on you.
If he wants to call me or get in touch with me, he knows how to. And we can talk out my anger.
Sounds like you have some forgiveness that you need to work through. I don't know if I mentioned this in the top of the show or not, but I have seen B.B. King live.
I don't know if you have. I think you have.
Have what?
Mentioned that at the top.
Oh, okay.
But that's cool.
Then
when
I
did you
not
see?
rehash that story.
Well, when did you hear him?
I think it was around 10 years ago.
Okay, so that would have been
my
around.
roommate and a group of friends. Like, we knew each other then.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have known who B.B. King was. But we went. It's at a club in Fort Worth where there's like. There are like seats right up to the stage, but there's also like a general dance floor. And so we went.
Did you go blues dancing and swing dancing?
Yeah.
To live B.B. King?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Allison, that is so cool.
It was a great memory, and I'm really glad that I got to experience his music live and hear that performance. It's a very, I don't see a lot of live music, but I'm glad that I saw that one.
Yeah, that's really cool. Props to you and your friends. Making wise decisions to go into the building and hear him live.
B.B. King's playing? Let's go.
Oh, B.B. King's playing? Let's go back to the hotel and just sit there and stare at each other. Yes, see, wise decision, unwise decisions.
All right. Well, let's talk about B.B. King.
Yes.
So he was born Riley B. King.
Oh, so there was a B in there, so that helps.
In 1925 in the Mississippi Delta. And his parents were sharecroppers.
Okay.
So, you know, generally poor, right? Like you can kind of picture that Southern African-American life in the 20s, right? But growing up, he sang in church choirs.
Okay, I can see that.
And so he had that musical roots early on. And there was he got his first guitar in 1937. So he was, you know, a teenager. And one of the preachers, like, started teaching him guitar. And the first song that he kind of, like, plinked out, you know, was You Are My Sunshine, which is a song that I know that you know.
I do know that song. I actually have those song lyrics in my kitchen on a board.
I know. So he started really early with music, but loved the guitar. Like the kind of thing where it's just like an indescribable attraction, you know, like what is that? I want that. I want to learn that. I want to play that. You know?
So that kind of brings up one of my questions.
Okay.
How many instruments does he play? It sounds like he plays like quite a number of them.
Actually, the guitar.
That's it?
I believe. I looked and I tried to see if I could find other instruments that he played, but I didn't find nothing really like popped up in my research. The guitar is
no piano, no horns.
No, those
that's
are all
not
like
him?
band members that he's playing with. So
I thought that was him.
Yeah, no. And what's interesting is so we all recognize B.B. King as like one of the great guitar players, right? And other guitar players even say like he's the best, right? But he doesn't say that he's the best. And in fact, I was reading some interviews and he talked about how he doesn't really know chords. So he's playing just those licks or riffs that, you know, like you would play. And the other thing is that he can't sing and play, or he says he can't sing and play at the same time. So when you're listening to a song of B.B. King's, go back now that we've discussed
What do
this.
you mean?
Well, so like if you think about a blues song, you know.
He's not singing.
He's just saying, I woke up this morning, and then continuing the lyric. And then I woke up this morning, right? And then continuing. So if you listen to the song, you will hear that he's not ever doing them at the same time. It's like he's using his voice, and then the guitar is singing back, kind of, or is echoing, reflecting, playing with that melody.
So he might be sitting there with his guitar, but he's not. Oh,
he's 100% sitting there with the guitar.
Yeah,
but you can hear that in the song Lucille, for example, you know, and it's him talking and telling a story, and then guitar, and he plays, and then he talks, and then he plays.
Who is Lucille, by the way?
Well, we're gonna get there.
There were just like, after listening this week, I felt like this week produced a lot more questions than I think other weeks.
Yeah, I found that interesting.
So you're kind of telling me a little bit about. Got his guitar in the 1930s. So has he always been a musician? Was this his profession? Or was this like a side job? Or just something him and his pastor preacher kind of just did on the side as just hanging out as before he would sing at church or something?
So, I mean, obviously as a teenager, you know, he was learning. And then he was briefly in the Army during World War II, but he was discharged because at home he was a tractor driver, right? And that was like an important job for the economy and, you know.
Or agricultural.
Right, exactly. So he did that, but
he got out of the Army because of that?
Yes.
Okay.
He got like a special
discharge.
Yeah. And then, but apart from that tractor driving, the farming, sharecropping kind of lifestyle that we discussed, right? After that, he started working at a radio station as a DJ. Oh. Right? And so his big break was in 1948, where he started playing on the radio, on Memphis radio, and then getting gigs, right, and playing live in clubs and stuff like that. And since we've both been to Memphis and you've walked by that club, you know that it is on a famous street called Beale Street.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So his nickname, like his stage name, if you will, was Beale Street Blues Boy. And that got shortened to Blues Boy King, which got shortened to
B.B. King.
You got it. So that's kind of an answer to two of your questions at once.
So did he name Beale Street or did someone?
No,
someone else did. Okay. Gotcha.
But his first number one hit was 3 O'Clock Blues, which I think you said was one of the ones you really liked.
Yeah, I really liked the horns in that one. Mm-hmm. I thought, so I learned a couple seconds ago, he can only do the guitar and he didn't do the piano and the horns.
Right.
See, I thought that was him. And he was just being able to kind of walk around stage and just pick up all the instruments that he wanted to pick up. But I guess now that he sits there with his guitar, it's a little bit different.
No, just like, I mean, think of him as the guitarist in a blues band, right? So there's each of the people playing their particular instrument.
So who's the horn player?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
He kind of just travels around and groups up with friends. It's probably been
different people in different times because, I mean, if your first hit is in 1948, or your big break is in 1948, you've been playing with all different kinds of people forever. Yeah. Because up until his death, spoiler alert.
Oh.
Sorry. He died in 2015.
That's not that long ago.
Nope.
Well, how did he die?
In his sleep, He was like 89. He was playing live still. So, depending on which recording we're looking at, it could be any number of backup people.
Gotcha. So, one of the things that I noticed with his music, he just puts a lot of emotion and an expression of his emotions in his music.
Definitely.
And I feel like it's his voice, his lyrics, the guitar. These are all separate entities, but even separate from his voice is his emotions. It's a separate character within the song itself. And I really like that mixture of his masculine voice and the emotions of it. And one of the things that I noticed as I was listening to this past week, I was hanging out with my father-in-law, and he mentioned to me that that B.B. King is one of those rare voices that actually gets better as he got older. And so I was wondering, is that a common opinion of everyone else, or is that just an opinion of one individual person, or what do you think?
Well, I think he sounds good, across the board. 3 O'Clock Blues, that's one of the earliest songs that we have, but we also have some of those live recordings later, right? The 80s and 90s. And he still sounds good, but his voice isn't, to me, what I'm really paying attention to. It's the guitar, So, I think, that's your father-in-law's opinion. I don't know if there's any, one set that it's up to you.
Okay, cool. Well, it's kind of interesting to hear, I think, different opinions of other people. And as I'm kind of creating my own opinion for the first time of listening to B.B. King, really, because I've really never sat down and listened to him. I thought this week was very important to me. I had fun.
I'm glad. So, as I want to go a little bit further with the history. So he was pretty popular in the 50s and 60s. But pretty much just in the African American charts, and that circle. He started reaching white audiences later. In the late 60s. He was on Ed Sullivan in 1970. And that's kind of where he went from more in a niche to widespread worldwide popularity.
Okay.
And the main song is The Thrill Is Gone. And that's why that's at the top of your playlist. Because, that's the number one B.B. King song. If anybody's going to, name a B.B. King song, The Thrill Is Gone is the one.
Okay, so I need to remember that. Okay.
Yes, you do.
So when people say things.
Yeah, but that song and the music of that time is when he really started, growing in popularity. Well, no, he's been jamming forever. But I just mean, people outside of the African American musical community being interested in his music and recognizing his skill.
Gotcha.
And so that's when you start seeing a lot more, I guess, public acclaim from the public at large.
Gotcha.
So throughout his life, he had 30 Grammy nominations.
Wow.
15 wins, plus a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Wow.
He's in, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Blues Foundation. I mean, everything. He's now, if you look over the course of his life, super achieved in, that kind of sense. Though I don't think that, how many Grammys you get, means how good you are.
Yeah.
I'm just showing like the popularity.
Yeah.
And the ability to stay popular and relevant like over time.
Yeah. So, question for you.
Okay.
With his popularity and things like that, he passed away in 2015.
Yeah.
Did a lot of these awards come during his lifetime or after his lifetime? Yeah. And then that Lifetime Achievement Award, was that during he was alive or was that awarded afterwards?
No, I'm pretty sure he's received all of those.
Gotcha. So he got to experience, I guess, the public's love for him.
Yeah, in the 60s. I'm saying since the 60s, it's been like a worldwide phenomenon. As opposed to before that, it was a more narrow audience. But...
And maybe you know the answer to this question. Okay. So that Music Jazz Blues Club on Beale Street in Memphis, Tennessee, did he own it because he likes music or he just likes the performance of the music aspect? Like, not every musician that we've listened to and learned from Music She Missed opens their own music jazz club kind of place.
Well, he was recruited to open the club by a Beale Street developer. Like, hey, B.B. King, you played around here, like...
Yeah, and plus your name is kind of nicknamed after the whole street, so...
Yeah, that's true. But there's actually B.B. King's, like, it's a franchise. So there's one in New York, and there's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them. So I think it was a good opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's not like he said, I'm going to open a club. He was like approached, hey, you've got your name and this is a famous street and the heart of
I'm a marketing development. And I do real estate and this is a good, let's jump on the bandwagon together. Okay.
But to jump back to what I was talking about before, so in the 60s and 70s, right, as he gets a wider audience, a lot of like guitar players from England, like Eric Clapton, for example, or...
Don't know him.
What?
I
know. It's just like, it's so impossible because everyone is so connected in the music world.
I'm learning.
I know.
We're into season 3.
I know. Anyway, so a lot of musicians look to B.B. King as a major influence, right? So I'm saying that because as his popularity spreads and as he's more well known, his style of music is going to influence other guitarists that are also huge names, even ones that B.B. King today, like in modern times, says they're better than I am, like Eric Clapton, as one example. So other artists, like George Harrison of the Beatles or Jeff Beck. And, the other thing is that B.B. King kind of mixed, like, traditional blues with jazz and swing and pop. Like, he kind of created this unique sound that was really accessible and really... And he also had very unique technique. So, using his left hand for vibrato, and these kind of like string bends. It's like, when you push on the string, you pull it up or down a little bit to change the pitch.
Which is what I was mentioning before, where I felt like his guitar was a whole nother voice, a whole nother entity, another character within this story he was saying within his songs.
It's really astute that you notice that, because that's what everybody says, is that this is the guitar is,
like
is
everyone
his
else.
Voice. Yeah. Well, you just noticed what is like one of the most salient things about his music, which is that the guitar is treated like a person, like a voice. And his guitar even has a name, Lucille.
Really? Oh, that's his name of the guitar. Cool.
It is. And it has kind of a fun story. In the 50s, he was performing at a dance, and some guys got into a fight, and they knocked over a stove, and the dance hall was set ablaze. And so, everybody runs out to safety, and then BB realized that he left his guitar inside. So he runs back into the burning building to get his guitar, like just barely escaping alive, right? Yeah, exactly. And later that night, he found out that the fight that the men were having was about a woman named Lucille. And so he gave the name to his guitar to remind him to never do a crazy thing like fight over a woman. And so ever since then, and he always plays Gibson guitars, but ever since then, he's named all his guitars Lucille.
Huh. So he has like Lucille 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 9, 12, 54.
I guess.
Wow. That's kind of cool.
Yes.
I like the name Lucille. It's a cute name. So one of the things that you were kind of telling me a little bit about, so he's from the South, and I hear the jazz, I hear even the country. So one of the questions that kind of spurred on this week was, what is the difference between country music from Johnny Cash that we learned earlier in the season and the blues music that B.B. King is doing? And so it just kind of spurred on that thought process, and I wanted you to walk with me on that.
So it's a really good question.
Oh, yay.
And, obviously having covered one country artist and one blues artist, we may not be fully ready to like jump into it.
The depths of that question.
No, but I think like in general, a lot of it is origin.
Okay.
So country music
It's from the South anyways.
Tis, but its origins is in Irish folk style. And it comes into the white population. So think about country music. You've got violins and strings and banjos, right? Where blues music comes, obviously, from the African American population through, way, way back to like, there's some African music elements, but a lot of stuff from working on the plantation, kind of call and response, like slave spirituals. Those are the origins of that. So you have two different, they're in the same region and they're obviously influencing each other, but they have two different like cultural backgrounds. Okay. So starting there. But the main thing that, and I don't want to define country, because what country mean, like modern country now versus like, country 100 years ago, it's very different. And same thing with blues to a certain extent. But blues has a very, I think, a more narrowly defined like musical structure. So there's a traditional pattern to a blues song. Okay. And I'll try to explain it as best I can. So you're a musician, so you know that a bar is like a measure. Yep. Right? So there's a thing called 12-bar blues. Okay. It's a very common structure. Yep. And it goes like, and then there's chords, a chord progression that goes within that 12 bars. Okay. So I'll kind of hum it for you. Okay. And then when you listen to a song later, you'll go, oh, this is in every blues song pretty much. Okay. So, bum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. That's one. Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum, 5. Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum, 1. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, 7. Da-da-da-da-da-da, 5. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, ba-da-da. Start over. Ba-ba-da, right? So in those 12 bars, you have this kind of 1, 1, 5, right? 7, 5, 1. Gotcha. And so that's like a very, then that structure, and that's how all the musicians know. They know where they are in those 12 bars, and they can kind of play and lick and take turns doing solos and all that stuff because that structure repeats. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yes, that definitely makes sense. There's also something called blue notes, and I'm not going to get into like the musical theory there or any, but basically it's like a flat pitch either on the 3rd or the 5th, and that makes that kind of sad sound. Yeah, you feel that emotion, and that's a kind of another character within the song. Right. Now, something that they both share is the lyrical content. So, in general, again, you could take a country lyric and a blues lyric, and you could swap them because they're both, once again, origin-wise, working class, right? Rural or southern, kind of themes about love, winning and losing in life. It's not, they're not the wealthy people's music. You know what I'm saying? They're not complaining about their diamond shoes being too tight. First world problems now. Yeah, exactly. So they do share a lot, and you'll see like both kind of like weave in and out from each other, but they do have a different start, and blues music in general does have that kind of structure that I mentioned. Gotcha. And so like for me, when I was studying blues dancing, we did learn a little bit about the history of the music and the structure of the music, because when you dance, if you know what's coming, because you understand the structure, you know what steps to do and next move. You know how to interpret the song with your body, and you know how to say, okay, and there's going to be a chord change coming up. This would be a good time to, respond with your body this way or whatever. Gotcha. Cool. I like that.
So one of the things that I've definitely noticed between blues music and country music, but blues music is just more sad. There's just more emotional depth to it. And well,
okay.
And so one of the things that I was kind of curious with B.B. King being the king of blues music is what is the sad thing that happened in his life that he, that is just kind of, I can hear in his music, it's a sadness of women, I guess. But also, what else is there, like, is that his biggest sadness in his life?
Well, he, was divorced twice. So there is that. And there's just like the general, like, growing up poor in the South, right? I mean, if you think about it, he didn't write all these songs. That's something like... Oh. So he did write some of his songs. A lot of them are covers. Some of them are kind of like standard blues songs that a lot of people did. So it's just kind of like a general genre thing. Okay. Like, I don't think that B.B. King had such a terrible life that he's got more blues than somebody else.
Well, I didn't know that.
But the origins of blues music, like, going back a little bit further, because B.B. King isn't like the first blues musician at all, right?
He's just the king of blues.
Yeah, he's kind of like the culmination of it in my mind. But, a lot of these other musicians definitely probably had sadder stories. But I would say that the themes, what you were saying is it's sadder than country. I would disagree. Like, if you look at the Johnny Cash songs, I mean, there's songs in there about murder. There's songs in there about lost love. And blues is the same. Like, don't answer that door. Don't open the door. I'm super jealous man, or, whatever. All of these songs, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to, like they all kind of have, they're just songs of loss. But I don't think that songs of loss and sadness are unique to just this genre.
Gotcha. That's a good way to answer it.
Thank you.
So, is it me, or does he sing out of tune also? Is that on purpose? Like, does he have an ear issue? Or?
No, definitely does not have an ear issue.
Okay.
So I don't think he sings out of tune any more than he plays out of tune. But so whether you're talking about his voice or his guitar, and I want to talk about his guitar because that's really what we're talking about, right? But whether it's the voice or the guitar, what we were talking about, those blue notes, that's a thing that could maybe make it sound a little bit off to your ears. Okay. And there's also just the style. And the style of what we were talking about of his, like, bending that string. Okay. That gives it a sort of out of tune feel. But that's why people say he's great. Is because he could take these blue notes and these little things within the octave, like within the scale of blues music, and use it to sing, to play with this, with the constraints of the scale and the key.
Gotcha.
So, it's intentional.
It is intentional.
I would say, and it's a style, and it's a way of talking. If you think about us talking, we naturally raise and lower our voices with certain pitches and certain tones to convey an emotion, to convey a meaning. And he's doing the same thing there. And to just play the right note perfectly on the beat would lose that. I mean, it would almost sound like a robot, right? And when people talk robotically, or talk perfectly, maybe you're like, something's a little off with that guy.
Yeah, there's not, Gotcha, I getcha.
So, this is what people say about him, is that he's great because of that, that little, if you watch a video of him playing, and you see him, like, making that face, that, as he, like, slides that note up, it's like trying to convey. It's very difficult for me to, like, put it into words because I feel like it's just an emotion. It's a feeling that you get through listening.
Send me some YouTube videos of what you're talking about, because I bet I can see that. Here, hold on a second.
No, you hold on. Look at this pic. That kind of like that face of, like, a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Right. That face, like, expresses him, like, reaching that note and, like, pulling it out, right? Like a kind of like,
yeah.
instead of just going, bink,
Bink.
you know?
He just, yeah. I get it.
All
cool.
Right. So we talked a lot about his history and the musical nature of blues.
Yeah.
But what songs did you like? What songs did you not like? Like, what stuck out to you this week?
A couple things that I didn't like.
Okay.
Why I Sing the Blues, that one song, I felt that it was really long.
That's because it's 8.5 minutes long.
It is. It is a long song where I guess for me, you know, exactly what we were saying before of the character within his voice, the character within the emotions of his voice, character of the guitar and all the kind of instruments and things like that. I just felt that, okay, the voice said that, the emotion said that said that, and I was like, wow, this is a really long song.
It's a live song. So with live music, you have the freedom to go, and you can tell a story, and each little person in the band can do a thing, and live music is different. So when I organized your playlist, I put The Thrill Is Gone at the top because that's the number one you need to know. Then I put some of his early songs. Then I put some live songs so you could get that feel. And then I put some of his collaborations. Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I noticed within his live music, that brought a different aspect from the studio stuff that he did.
Yeah, definitely.
Where you could hear more of his heart, I guess.
You just don't want to hear his heart for 8.5 minutes. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah. It's not that I completely, throwing it out the window. No.
Just something you noticed.
It's just something I noticed.
Okay.
And another thing that I noticed is just, so when he talked, and I think this is where this spurred of the question of where, if he had an ear problem or if how he sang out of tune or something. When he said, in the song, "You Upset Me," it sounds like he says, "You upsets me."
It does sound like that.
And I'm just confused. I'm like, so does he have, what's going on? And so that's where that question came from out of listening to that song.
I think it's just like a colloquial, regional way of speaking.
And that was just how he performed it, I guess.
Ain't bad a shade, I mean, just using different language.
Gotcha. But mostly,
you really liked it.
Yeah, I did. And there were a few things that I really did like about it. You know, I mentioned the 3 o'clock blues of just the horns and things like that. And then Why I Sing the Blues, I really like the horns in that one.
Okay.
And then the piano in Sweet 16, I really like that one, which, I thought he was playing the horns. I thought he was playing the piano. But one of the two songs that just kind of really stood out to me in his guitar, now that I know that it was really him on the guitar, was Lucille and also Don't Answer the Door.
I like Don't Answer the Door. That is lyrically kind of a depressing song, but the guitar does really stand out. And that's definitely one of his more popular songs on the list, one of the highly regarded ones in terms of his ability. So I think it's cool that you noticed that. I want to ask you if you noticed the two of the bands that collaborated with him, Paying the Cost to Be the Boss and When Love Comes to Town.
One of them was U2.
Yeah.
And the other one with the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. Could you hear, did that surprise you? Could you hear oh, that sounds like Bono? Or has it been too long?
No, I knew it wasn't him, obviously.
Well, it is him with them.
With them.
Yeah.
And so I knew there was someone else other than just him, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so at first I couldn't nail it down, but after I then cheated and looked on my Spotify, because I have a process, day one I just listen. I don't even look at the list. I don't even look at the lyrics. I don't even look at the title of the song. Don't look at the year. Don't look at anything. And just kind of listen to listen. And that was one of the things that I kind of liked about this week, is that there was just opportunities just to listen with him.
Cool.
And so I like that.
So let me ask you, let's see, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being he upset you, baby, and and 10 being he's the king.
He's the king.
Where would you place your affection for B.B. King?
I would say a 9.
Wow. Hey.
I know. Like,
you like the blues.
I do like the blues. I do like how it just... I can listen to it in the background, but I also can just listen to it too. Where there's some music where it's only background music, and then there's some that you have to listen to it. Yeah. But I feel like he hits both of those, and then also I really like how he has. I don't know if I'm going to be the only one that has this opinion. He has structure, but not structure all at the same time.
I mean, that's what the great musicians all do. In any musical genre, here's the structure, and I'm going to play within the structure, and then I'm going to play with the structure. I'm going to break out of the structure, right? And that's what makes music interesting.
Yeah, I really liked how he is very talented. He is a talented guy. Yeah. And so
we miss you, BB.
Yeah, I wish I actually even got to hear you live. Yeah. But I got to enjoy you for a week and hopefully for more.
Hopefully. If you, our audience, want to follow along with Rachel's journey as she discovers more musical genres, please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Rate and subscribe on iTunes so more people can find out about the show and listen to this playlist and all the playlists on Spotify. Thanks so much for listening to Music She Missed.
Thanks so much and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. We like you. All right.
We hope you like us too.
Thanks for listening.